Mr. Mahoney.
Here.
And Mr. Simcoe is absent.
All right. Let's stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Do we have any questions on the June 19th or approval of minutes?
I'll move approval.
Second?
Okay, call the roll, Mr. Mahoney.
Yes.
Mr. Crandall.
Yes.
Mr. General.
Yes. And then any additions or deletions, John?
Yes, I have one addition to the agenda under administrative. 11.13 after that will be 11.4, and will be resolution 18098, authorization to hire zone manager.
Okay, 18098, okay. Great, thank you. Zoning Department. Hi, Dean.
Dean Wares from the Zoning Department. I would like to present resolution number 18-091, authorization of abatement of vegetation and/or debris for the property located at 5626 Rudyard Road, Sylvania, Ohio 43560.
I'll move resolution 18091, authorization of abatement and vegetation and debris at 5626 Rudyard Road.
Second?
Okay, call the roll, Mr. Mahoney.
Yes.
Mr. Crandall.
Yes.
Mr. General.
Yes. Hey, just in case, I don't want anybody to think I jumped in front of the agenda items because I thought we'd wait till get to the agenda items before we, so thank you for filling these out for your conversations. We'll just keep moving forward to the road department. Rob?
Good evening. I have submitted the monthly report for June. Some of the topics were assigned upgrade installation from the 2016 grant was completed. All the paperwork was turned into the state confirming our completion. We're still continuing our annual street sweeping for the summer, roadside mowing. We're on our third round of that. We've been doing a lot of storm sewer work. We did participate in the safety town. We painted and redid that display on there and then set up our own display for that. From what I understand, it went pretty well this year. We did have one cemetery interment this month, or month of June. And as you can see, the Highway Protection Services locates the tickets were up about 100 last month and the previous month, and we had 85 locates. Routine fleet maintenance, you can see some of the miscellaneous items there. F-26 was decommissioned, and the G3 Taurus sold on gov deals. That Taurus was ours, that was the money that's given to the fire department for them transferring their old vehicle to us to use as a transportation vehicle. So we did some training. A couple guys went down to Columbus and learned how to do pavement condition ratings, which will be helpful for you next year. Page 2. Some of our major projects, the resurfacing project at PWC was sold, and so was the second annual resurfacing project. Both of those projects, Gherkins, were awarded a contract. We were supposed to start the first project July 16th, and we're still awaiting pre-construction meeting for the second. As you can see, some of the other major improvement projects are ongoing. A couple of them completed. We did complete 150 feet of new stormwater installation on Borland Drive, and that was reimbursed through the stormwater utility. Other than that, the crack seal program was completed as well. co-op program with the Lucas County Engineers Office. I did receive an email from them today stating that it was complete. I had been inspecting the roads as they went, and the contractor that was throughout Lucas County did a really good job this year. That is all I had, unless you have any questions for me.
Keep up the good work.
Thanks.
Appreciate it, Bob, thanks. Fire Department, Michael.
Good evening.
Hi.
As you'll see in front of you, my monthly report for June of 18. I do have a couple of special things on the front. Firefighter paramedic Scott Perry was attending opening day for the Mud Hens this year when he stopped at the Cloister for a cold beverage, and a gentleman went into cardiac arrest. Right in front of him and one of the waitresses started CPR. The gentleman was released with no neurological deficits from the fire, or from his cardiac arrest. So, again, another one of our guys out, not on duty, but did exactly what he needed to do. Bottom left, with the retirement of Dave Hatfield a couple months ago, Tom Smead is now our #1 badge, which in the fire service, the highest ranking non-officer in the department gets the #1 badge to wear until they retire. So that's the presentation. The thing on the bottom right is not that special. I was elected to the board of directors for the Ohio Fire Chiefs, and that was me getting sworn in. So, like I said, not that an interesting enough picture. June anniversaries, we had quite a few guys. I want to make note that Lieutenant Tom Rounds it was his 29-year anniversary, so Tom's been with us for quite a while. And everybody else was in double figures except the bottom guys, which the guys really appreciate that we're acknowledging the time of service they have here. So, obviously, page 3, 4, 5, and 6 are our run numbers. Obviously, again, run numbers are up. Like the one that I do like to talk about is the overlapping. 44.61% of the time we do have a second run right away. That's up a little bit from last year. Page number 5 is actually the completed incident report, so that's your true total number of incidents. The first 2 pages are the ones we are still working on. So, page 6, incident types, obviously broken all down for you. 7 and 8 are the patient dispositions, and again, we were up on transported by private auto, which is the one that like I said, I've been really keeping an eye on. If people call for us, we need to be able to transport them, so that's quite a few of people having to either drive themselves or have someone from home driving them. Page 9 is the auto aid and mutual aid. That was up again. Page 10, community risk reduction. We also helped out with Safety City and Safety Town. It's really great to see our guys communicating and working with the city and the Township Police Department. It's graduation day is probably one of the best days of the year for us, and it's neat to see the look on them, all the young guys' faces when they get to go in front of everybody and sing their songs and stuff. It's pretty. It makes you feel good inside. We did do 97 safety inspections, and we also did 6 car seat installations. Next page just has some pictures of Safety Town and Safety City. Added a few pictures on the next page of just some incidents that we had. Lucas County EMS was in session for June. We had 256 hours. We also did some first due company training. Like I told you, the last couple months we had the houses in front of Southview that the school bought. They are tearing those down starting Friday. So you will see my guys over there today. They were on top. They were on the roof on one of the houses doing some chainsaw and axe work. We don't get a chance to actually get on top of a roof that people don't care if we're sawing and axing on. So they spent the whole day over there today, and we will be out there all day again tomorrow with it. Next one is just a couple pictures of some of the training that was going on. The bottom 2 are some ladder training that the guys were working on the weekend. They've been trying to keep their skills up on the ladder truck on the weekends because we've been working all week long on those houses. So lighter stuff's been kind of moved to the weekend, so the guys have been doing extra training on the weekend. Overtime is on page 15. I'm not real happy with it. I'm sure you guys aren't either. We did have quite a few, we had Safety Town, Safety City, and we have quite a few. I think we have 5 people off right now on FMLA. So my general staffing numbers are up a little bit. I'm not real happy with it, but unfortunately that's one of mine that I don't have much control over on that one. Page 16, 17, and 18 are all thank you notes. If you get a chance, the first one on page 16 was pretty extensive, and the guys took care of, I'll just briefly give you, they took care of the wife who had fallen and broken her arm, and they took her, put her in the squad. As they were walking out, the gentleman was backing out, and his glasses were on top of the car. One of the guys noticed it and gave him, and then when he got home, he noticed his garbage cans and some other things were put back where they normally would have been. He said he didn't have any idea how he would know where to put his garbage cans, but the guys took a couple minutes and put the cans in. So that's all I have. Unless anyone has any questions.
Yeah, thanks, Mike.
Thanks, Mike.
Paul?
All right, they've all stolen my thunder a little bit on Safety Town. I do want to thank the fire department and the road department, because the kids have a ball out there when you get over and look at the fire trucks and cranes and all that kind of stuff. So Safety Town, we did that in June, and like I said, that went very well. And the chief's right, graduation, the kids are all having a ball there and stuff. So got a lot of positive feedback on that. July 4th, I know technically it's a June, but since it's just happened here a couple weeks ago, in about another few weeks, it'll be old news. That went smooth, so that was good. I actually only had one citizen phone call about the traffic flow. Other than that, I was impressed with how well the officers, have their posts in place and handle it. Calls for service were up a little bit in June compared to last year. Warmer weather, things picking up, but overall for year-to-date, they're pretty similar. I did want to make a note on some burglaries. We had, I think, 5 burglaries down, 1 from last year when there were 6, but we made arrests on 3, which was very good. And the one, I know there was some Facebook chatter out in the Brookside subdivision out west there. We were able to just, back on the 7th here of July, we indicted a guy with 2 counts of burglary and 1 attempt. It was just a really good example of the detectives, and we didn't much go on. Fortunately, out there, all those nice new homes, they all were putting in security cameras, so we had some video. But the video, head to toe, long sleeves, full mask. You looked at it and you're like, wow, that's how, it's nice to see the video what the guy did, but we'll have no idea who this is. The detective, he got it out on Aaliyah, which is an area-wide thing, and I haven't called the Bowling Green chief yet. The Bowling Green detective, just by virtue of the video and the guy walking down the driveway, looked at it and said, hey, I think that's this Eric Roberson guy. We've had him here before. The guy lived in Lyman. That's where he lives. He was traveling all over. We ended up, we were working with MSP task forces. He was up in Novi. We got a search warrant, got a tracker on his car. Sergeant Cole did a nice job monitoring in the evening. Let Michigan know, hey, he's going up 75. They had their task force waiting. He went all the way up to Farmington Hills. He was like in $1 million homes. They got in there, they got out on foot, and they caught the guy up there doing 2 burglaries, and, he fessed up, wearing the clothes and the videos that we showed him, said, yeah, that's me. So it was just a really good example. There must have been, he's going to get charged between Michigan and Ohio with probably 15 or 20 different burglaries. Going all over.
Won't see him for a while.
Yeah, we hope. Fortunately, the courts don't do a lot of property crimes, but I hope in this case they will, because very prolific burglars. So that was a very nice arrest. I know the citizens, they had their own Facebook page going, some different chatter, and it made a little bit of press there. So, and I think we had another one in Sedalia that, off the road there, that got a little press initially. That one was relatively easy because the burglar had been in the nearby bookstore drunk and left his wallet, and there was his ID. That made that one rather simple to solve. So, but we got him arrested right away too. So, anyway, those were the big highlights. I won't tell you anything else unless you have more questions.
Thanks, Chief.
Yeah, thanks, Chief. All right, John, we have a discussion on off-road vehicles.
Right. Before we start this discussion, I just want a little background. Back on June 19th, the trustees asked the administration to come up, listening to all people that spoke, the resolution, to come up with a recommendation. Once again, this is an administration recommendation, I sent it to the trustees a couple of days ago. And at this time, I'd like to, if you'd like to discuss it, what's your view? Once again, it'll be the trustees' decision, because it was just an administration recommendation.
Do you want to give a nutshell of what your recommendation was?
Sure. Basically, after listening to all the people talk and looking at the two resolutions, I'm recommending that we just stay with the 2006 resolution, which has been on the books for 12 years. It's a resolution that we haven't really used. I talked to Mr. Burrell, our counselor, and Police Chief Wong, and they both looked at the resolution and said this is a way to go, let's give it a try. Well, if we ever use it, and it goes to court, we'll see what the court says, they might accept it, the citation under it, and everything's fine. If not, at that point, we will know that we will have to rewrite the resolution. So my recommendation right now is just to stay with what we've had for 12 years.
So we're not having to, we don't need to, we don't know.
It's already
Yeah.
passed.
Okay.
So now,
We've got some folks that are on that for the agenda. Is there anything else you'd like to add to what our administrators offered this evening to you guys?
I would.
You want to come up and introduce yourself? And-
Yes. James Crosby, 4500 block of Westbourne. In the discussion that you had previously about the noise ordinance that is no longer under consideration, you did mention, Mr. Mahoney, that there are other areas in the township other than Heisler Road that were problematic. I would like to know if you could share what measures are being taken under the current ordinance to resolve those issues wherever they are.
Right now, the one in particular, we've had one of our police lieutenants have visited the home and discussed with them their issue that they have. So that's the one. The other one, the particular family really is not too interested in getting anybody involved at this juncture, but we've had somebody that, I shouldn't say it was a police department, we had somebody in our zoning department that would discuss it.
So
They'd rather not have their names out in public, no, if you're going
I'm not
that.
asking for
Okay.
names. I was just wondering what efforts were being taken under the current ordinance, resolution they had in place. If, understanding that that was also some motivation to trying to establish the new noise ordinance, which is no longer.
Well, right now, here's the good news. The good news is, the reason why we're staying with our 2006 plan is because as a result of us being proactive and knocking on the door to this family, they've ceased and is halted as to what activities they were doing there.
That sounds like a reasonable and good thing to do.
Thank you.
I can see you become more proactive on a number of different issues. Thank you.
Thanks, Jim. Anybody else that'd like to speak on behalf of the zoning noise ordinance this evening? Rob?
Just real quick.
Yeah, just, if you could, just introduce yourself and name, please.
I'm Rob Rice, 7532 Hollow Creek,
Hold on.
617. I was going through my notes, and on October, I believe it's 16th or 18th, 2016, I just want to read part of my statement that night. Basically, what we were asking for was the 2006 noise ordinance being enforced. And we're now 20 months later. If I understand it properly, based on John's statement, any noise that is deemed, that we witness or is witnessed anywhere in the township that is offensive or obnoxious, citations will be issued, correct?
We'll file the 2006 plan. if that's the case, then if it falls within the, John, go ahead.
It's always a discretion that we...
when you say will be, I'm not gonna guarantee it.
No, I understand. He knocks on the door and they stop.
Correct. But I just want to it doesn't mean automatically respond to noise.
I just want clarification, because it was enforced before.
Right.
But now, we have new direction.
Yep.
Thanks, Rob.
Mr. Commissaric?
Hi, Greg.
How's it going? Greg Commissary, 2520 Heisler Road. Been doing some research into this, into surrounding areas. Recently pulled Sylvania City's, if you want to call it, resolution for sound ordinance, which our 2006 ordinance also has a section in there that states that if a vehicle is equipped with a factory exhaust or equivalent, then it is in compliance. That is one of the lines that it is in the 2006 resolution. Section 9 under City of Sylvania, exhaust, the discharge into open air of the exhaust of any steam engine, stationary, internal combustion engine, motor vehicle, motorcycle, motor scooter, or bicycle, except through a muffler or other devices which will effectively prevent loud and excessive noise is a violation, which factory exhaust or equivalent is listed in that 2006 ordinance. That I want to be very clear that that is listed in that.
Well, I didn't know, go ahead, John.
That we are actually more restrictive than the city is in the town.
We're going back to the 2006 plan. We've tried to work, I'm gonna bite my tongue on that. Bro, what did you want to say?
I brought this route here to legally define what was just said.
Okay, that'd be great.
On the muffler.
Okay.
That statement has been made, probably in half a dozen meetings I've been to, and it is incorrect. What he's reading from is a list of things that aren't per se violations, but it's not an exclusive list. Your resolution specifically states it's not deemed exclusive. So you can have an off-road vehicle with all the proper mufflers and still violate the noise resolution if you fall into the two general categories. So I've heard that, as I said, every time I've come here, that is incorrect. So you should know that if you're going to enforce the 2006 resolution, just because you have a proper muffler on does not mean you do not violate the rules. That is incorrect.
Thanks, John. All right. Anybody else would like to speak on behalf of us continuing with the 2006 noise resolution? All right. Well, thanks again for all your involvement and staying involved and active in this, through this process. Appreciate it very much. Okay, moving on here, John.
Next item on the agenda is a resolution 18096. Chairman, do you want to read that heading?
Okay, sure. A resolution amending the resolutions previously adopted by which created the Toledo Area Regional Transit Authority, TARTA, adding Lucas County as a member of TARTA, eliminating TARTA's 2.5 million property taxes and substituting a 0.4 sales and use tax, allocating 80% of the tax collected to TARTA to directly fund its operations and 20% to other local government entities for the installation, maintenance, and improvement of mass transit-related infrastructure, and providing a new mechanism for withdrawal from membership in TARTA, provided that such changes are contingent upon voter approval of the new TARTA funding system at the November 6, 2018 general election.
At this time, I just wanted to hand out, I was given this by Ryan, who didn't want to speak, but I just typed up a little thing that I wanted to pass out to the trustees.
Okay.
Okay. And I think people have signed up to the discussion.
Okay, yeah, and just going down the list, okay? Marcia Singh. Hi, Marcia. If you could just introduce your name and address, that'd be great,
Okay, it's
please.
Marcia Singh, 5871 East Cobblestones Lane.
Thank you.
And I want to speak for TARDA. Last week, people said that renters don't pay sales tax, or property taxes. Yeah, they do. It's called rent, because I don't know of anyone who owns property who doesn't pass along the cost of property taxes to the renters. And we really need TARDA because some people do use it to get to work. And you can either pay for TARDA or you can pay them welfare because they have no way of getting there. Also, now I need TARDA to go shopping sometimes. My children, I have two kids locally. My son works a split shift, so he works from like 12:30 in the afternoon to 9:30 at night, so there's really no time before or after work, and he only has Saturdays and Sundays off, so it's really hard for him to take me frequently. He does do some. My daughter lives in Perrysburg and has 5 kids. 2 are grown, but 3 are still at home. She works. She has Tuesdays and the weekend off, but with the kids, she's busy. And she helps when she can. Now, in the past, I haven't had to use TARDA because my husband drives, but my husband now has dementia, and it's very severe, and he can no longer drive. And so that's what I want to say to people who say, why should we pay for TARDA when we don't need it? How do you know? Someday down the road, you may need it, and you'll be glad that it's here. So that's what I want to say. Thank you.
Thanks, Marcia. Penny Levine. Hi, Penny.
I passed, I
Okay.
passed, Mr. Zeitler answered my question.
Okay.
Thanks.
Brandon Shepherd? Oh, Brandy, I'm sorry.
It's okay.
Come on up.
Good evening. I'm Brandy Shepherd, 3921 Fairwood. I am, a little background on me that I think is important. I am a teacher at Sylvania Southfield. I am a coach there, a theater director, a volunteer in the community, and I am a Sylvania Township homeowner. But I also am the face of TARDA. And I feel like so often people just think that TARDA is being used in impoverished areas or in rough areas, or it's by people that are only significantly impaired. I am a tax-paying citizen that lives on my own, but I still have to use TARDA because of my significant visual impairments. I've used TARDA, TARPS, and CallARide. I know a lot of people like to say, well, we have so many Ubers around here now. Why do we need it? Example, I'm taking a course right now at the University of Toledo. If I were to take an Uber, it's for 3 weeks, every day. If I were to take an Uber there every single day, there and home, $30 a day. That's $450 an Uber for 3 weeks. Certainly not the price that I'm going to pay for TARDA. I guess I just want to give a face to it that isn't the stereotypical what everybody thinks of. It is being used by our community. Even if the large buses are not, I know a lot of people see the big buses and they're like, there's only 2 people on it. I get that, but the CallARide and the TARPS, to me, are what are significantly important because those are always running and always busy in our community. Thank you.
Thanks for your service at the Sylvania schools, too. Just again, going down the list here, Jessica Weinberg. Hi, Jessica.
Jessica
Wine Group, 7168 Tottenham. I know I've become a familiar face of Charter at all these meetings, and one of the reasons for that is I'm involved with a coalition that was originally put together by the Ability Center some years ago. It's made up of many Charter riders, many of whom have disabilities, so I don't think using Charter is entirely by choice. Disability agencies, but also Charter personnel come to our meetings, and we have a lot of discussion about ways to improve the system, service things that come up. And I mention that because I think it kind of says a lot about Charter as an agency and an institution, that they spend that much time sitting down with riders. In response to some of the concerns that were raised last year, you said do a longer-term strategic plan. They did that. A couple of years ago, when some of the communities had a concern that if we switched from property tax to sales tax, they would take a loss in what I believe is called the TIF money. That's been addressed. That's the reason why there's a little more, the sales tax is bringing in a little more than Charter really needs to use, and they're going to give that extra money to the communities. So they've been very responsive to everyone's in an era when we have a lot of real partisanship and sides not working together. They've been responsive to the people that are raising concerns and objections. They kind of take those as like, okay, let's see what we can do about that to make this, the people with these concerns happy too. Following up on what Ms. Shepherd, Brandy said, Mr. Gee tells me that Ottawa Hills and Maumee City Councils both passed this resolution unanimously, which suggests that those are communities that I might say have something in common with Sylvania Township. Again, not exactly inner city areas, and they clearly saw a reason to at least have the discussion as the ballot issue, switching from property to sales tax, because that's the issue. It's going to be paid for one way or the other. When there was a discussion of not having it at all, some of the communities that wanted to put that on the ballot said, well, the voters should decide. This is between two methods of paying, so why can't the voters decide that? Particularly since it seems a little, under state law, we obviously have to ask the three trustees for their vote. But when we're talking about money that's paid in sales tax, I mean, that doesn't seem like it's the same money that the trustees are really the trustees of. I mean, it's not really the Sylvania Township's, well, in some cases it'll be the residents' money, but it seems like this has to be a win in terms of, because first of all, there's going to be a reduction in property taxes. Who knows, maybe some people will end up finding they can use the new expanded routes. Pages, I think 59 and 60 of the plan online have some plans for some expansions of the routes, some of which affect Sylvania City and Township. And as was pointed out, there's less need to spend taxpayer dollars on other forms of public assistance. And remember, that's also other forms of transportation. There's people with disabilities living out in, say, Springfield Township because they can't use Charter, so they're using their, in some cases, Board of DD Medicaid waiver money for other transportation, which is a lot more costly per ride. Some people that aren't served by the Board of DD don't have that option. Apparently cars, a couple of media sources reported this after the last meeting, sales tax on cars is based on where the vehicle's registered. So nobody can save money by going to Michigan or Perrysburg if they're a resident of this county to buy their car. And if they think that, maybe we can solve that with a little education campaign before people start trying to do that. There's also the fact that with more, I like to point about how the people that you think aren't on the fixed line buses may be on Towship Coal Ride. I think with some of these expansions, there may be people that we can move off, that are able to maybe move off Towson and onto some of the fixed line buses. If they have more expanded routes, might help make up for some of the challenges that might be leading them to use Towson now. And with more transportation access, these people that rely on Towson can be more active in the community, so you're going to add consumers, I think, to most businesses in Lucas County. White House, another part of Lucas County not currently in Towson, they are home to the Camp Courageous site and the Ark, and they're home to Bittersweet Farms that serve people with disability. I mean, there's people that live out there that don't have a lot of access right now to the rest of Lucas County. Let's see, do I have any comments? So yeah, I would have loved if somebody from Ottawa Hills or Maumee City Councils had been here tonight to give kind of the perspective of the suburb or township, that why they saw it as a win for their communities. But maybe Mr. D can, if anything that they said to you, but obviously because they both voted unanimously, we know that they did. And I also don't think that we can detach ourselves from, I mean, we don't have a minor league baseball team here in Sylvania Township. We don't have an art museum. You know, we are part of the metropolitan area, and the better our public transportation, the more everybody kind of on the outskirts can be part of the whole, can participate in the whole metropolitan area.
Once again, Jessica, thanks for your comments. Appreciate you coming back again. Jim Gee, come on up, Jim.
Thank you, members of the Township Trustees. We actually have another presentation. If you want us to go now, we'd be happy to. If you want us to wait till after the remainder of the public comments, it's completely up to you.
If you're on board, let's go ahead.
We'll go ahead. At our last meeting, I promised that I would invite Bonnie Berlin from Stanford Adesky Associates to discuss the results of a poll that was done within Sylvania Township. I'm pleased to introduce her right now, and after she's finished, I'll have some closing comments.
Hi, Bonnie.
Good evening.
Hey, Bonnie, if you could just give us your name and address, please.
Bonnie Berlin, 8966 North Park Lake Circle, Sylvania, Ohio.
Thank you.
No problem. My firm was hired to find out from Sylvania area residents how they feel about the Tartar sales tax issue. And I'm going to review some of the highlights with you. If you go to the next page, just to give you a little bit of background, the last week of June and the first 10 days or so of July, we were conducting telephone interviews. We talked to about 300 Sylvania residents. That was equally divided, not equally divided, it was in proportion to township city. So based on the registered voter list, it was 68% township and 32% in the city. And to make sure we were talking to the most representative members, we talked to likely November voters who had voted in at least one of the last three, so that would be 2017, 15, or 14, non-presidential general elections, to mirror who would be coming out to vote this November should this resolution pass. I can tell you, just off the cuff, that people here, you guys, as well as people in the audience, are way more in tune to what's happening than most of the community. If you go to the next, I'm going to tell you here, our mission was to find out what the key issues are to voters in regard to this topic. So voters were told that there would be a variety of issues to consider when deciding whether to support a sales tax for TARTA, and would they be more or less likely to support the sales tax if they knew certain information. We had about 10 messages that were tested. What you're looking at are the top 4 here. So the first one, if voters knew that passage will improve, preserve, and protect the Toledo Area Regional Paratransit Service, known as TARPS, for people with disabilities. 74% of the Sylvania voters told us they would be more likely to be in favor of the sales tax. Next, everyone who makes a purchase in Lucas County, whether they live in the county or not, will be helping to pay for transit service and roads in the county. 68.3% said they were more likely to support knowing that. Help to reduce vehicle repair and maintenance expenses for area residents by providing funds to improve the county's crumbling roads and bridges, 67.3% more likely, and will lessen the current property tax burden for residents by $76.30 annually for a home valued at $100,000. So when people had that information, they were more likely to vote in favor. I know that you had all been presented with the Move Toledo, TARDA's Vision for the Future. What we did is we went ahead and we gave some of those points to the people that we spoke with, and on a 10-point scale, we asked them how positive or negative they felt towards each of these issues. What I'm showing you here, out of 9 aspects that we asked people about, the top 4, you're looking at, when it says top 2 box, that's people that gave it a 9 or a 10, so that's strongly positive, and the mean score is based on the 10-point scale. So an 8.3 out of 10 would be pretty high. The first thing that seemed to really resonate with your voters, completely restructure routes to create more efficient service in suburban areas, decrease the number of transfers required, and increase frequency of buses. And you can see how positive people felt towards that aspect. Lengthen service hours to better accommodate workers on all shifts. And that resonated with voters, as well as accepting fares via smartphone and incorporate alternative fuel sources. So when people are armed with this information, they're feeling very positive towards TARDA. If you go to the next page, I'm showing you a vote here when we asked the people that we talked to about a 0.4% sales tax for 10 years. I've been doing this for 30-some years. We ask people how they feel their neighbors would vote because we know that that's more representative. Sometimes people don't want to tell us exactly what they're going to do. If you can see here, nearly 2 to 1 for this issue versus against. Obviously, you have that undecided there. When they go to the polls, that's not an option. We know from experience that that vote will split the same 2 to 1 that you see in the for and against right now, and that would be over 50% in favor of the sales tax in this area. To the right, you see the reasons given for support, and these were open-ended comments. We read them all, we write them down, we code them. It's not from a checklist or anything, but we heard not a property tax, it's a better tax. It's good, they're in favor because they use TARDA. Some people have no cars and seniors need it, is the perception. Charter is important, needed. We had some that said not sure, and we also heard everyone pays. If you go to the next one, we came out and we asked your constituents, if you were able to choose which taxing method TARDA uses on a future ballot, we had nearly 6 in 10 people tell us they would prefer a sales tax. Property tax was mentioned at 15.7%, and then you have a group that doesn't want either, but that may not be an option. So again, I think the highlight here is you have 6 in 10 of your Sylvania registered voters that are telling you they would prefer to see the sales tax. If you turn to the next slide, you'll see the reasons that a sales tax is preferred. Again, this was an open-ended question where we recorded everybody's answers and coded them into categories. The top responses: more fair, everyone pays. Property taxes in this area are too high already. Less money out of my pocket, so I'll be paying less, and it will be more helpful to TARDA. So basically, that is what we found out. I can answer any questions you may have. Those are the highlights. Any questions for me?
Who paid for this?
This was a voluntary group, Citizens for Tarda.
You said Tarda hired you? So
No.
I mean, you were paid or not paid?
Citizens for Tarda hired me.
Okay.
I've not been paid yet.
Hey, Bonnie, I do have a question for you, and great job with the presentation. Again, I'm not against a sales tax, but the question that I have, did you mention to any of the citizens that this is a new tax, and that there's new money to pay?
They were told the exact, what has happened, they were told that the township trustees voted it down twice. They were told the amount that it had been, they were told that it was now decreased to 0.4%, and that it was a tax that would be eliminating their property tax.
But it wasn't brought up as a new tax. I mean, it's a new tax revenues for Tarda.
It was brought up that it is a tax that would be replacing their property tax.
Okay.
Did you go over the dollar amounts that were involved? So, I mean, you say less money out of pocket, but somehow Tarda's getting twice as much money. So obviously that's a false statement that was up there, correct? I mean,
No, that is the perception of the voters, that the money that they would be getting back from the property tax is, to them, it's less, that they can curb their spending, they can buy what they want, and it would be less amount out of their pocket, is what the voters said, out of their own
How you
mouths.
phrased it to the voters.
I said, why do you support that method, and wrote down, the interviewers write down exactly what's said.
Okay.
And that's what came up.
If the public knew, let me ask this, Bonnie, and you may not have an answer for this, but if the public knew that it was an apples to apples real estate tax, sales tax, I bet you wondering what those numbers would be, but if I'm mathematically calculating on a phone survey what .4 would be, it's not apples to apples to what our residents are paying out here. They're going to be paying more, and it's a tax increase for our residents in the township.
But they're not, they understand that the property tax will be eliminated.
I get that. I get that.
I don't understand what you're asking then.
Well, there's tax dollars coming in, twice as much. So when you say it's rigged for us, it's not an accurate statement. I mean, like...
I am an independent market researcher.
I understand that, but someone's paying more, right?
They spend money.
Well, based on their projections of $25 million, that's more.
It's
Thanks, Bonnie.
thank you, Bonnie. More people are paying in. The primary source being visitors, and that 30% of your sales tax revenue comes from visitors who don't live in Lucas County. We've done math in terms of average household value here in the township, average household income, and how the sales tax compares to the property tax. Granted, these are averages. The average household value currently is $190,100. That's from the auditor's office. That means the Tarda property tax for that average house is $145.18. It was difficult to find average household income for the township. The number that I have is $76,373. At a 0.4% sales tax, or actually at a 0.4% sales tax, and a average of 35% of your expenditures going towards sales taxable items. That comes from the Ohio Department of Taxation. That would mean that you would spend approximately $106.92 a year on Tarda sales tax, for a savings of just under $40 a year. Granted, these are averages, and it's going to vary from household to household quite a bit, but we've run these numbers for all the member jurisdictions. Sylvania Township had an estimated 26% savings with this math is one of the largest beneficiaries because you have a lot of households here. Additionally, you have a lot of folks that own property in other areas of the community. They're going to benefit because of the cut in property taxes.
I forwarded a note from the Toledo Auto Dealers Association, that said this is going to add $198 to the average price of a new vehicle today.
That can't be right. Well, actually, it could be right. I don't,
I mean, an average price they said was $35,000, and, that's their point. And again, I just think that, although our dealers sell cars to the region, I would still think that the vast majority is here in Lucas County. And again, I think...
But again, it's as Jessica pointed out, it's based on where the car is garaged, not where the car is purchased.
Yeah.
I just want to add one thing, though. As Jessica also pointed out with the TIF issue, and how we're coming in higher and more than what we need because of this TIF issue, that's simply not true. We're coming in with a request for .4 because we're locked in by the state legislature to go in increments of .1. Last year, .25, .5, we had to go .5 and we had a lot of extra money. This year, we've had the development of the strategic plan. We've reduced that millage or that levy request down to .4, and we've looked at .3, and that simply doesn't generate enough money.
Why does that not?
.3 generates a comparable amount of what we received in 2009.
What is that?
About $18 million. And .3, since 2009, we've had our property tax.
But that would be so right now you're getting $12.5 million and you're taking up to 18?
Let me finish, please.
Okay.
Since 2009, we've had our property tax drop by 30%. We've had our fuel go up by 9%. We have had our benefits, including health care, up by 81%. We've had our TARPS ridership up 64%. And what have we done as a response? We've tightened our belt. We've cut back on employees. We've raised our fares 25%. We've cut 17% in our service. And at the end of the day, that's going to continue in terms of cuts because of the property tax not staying with inflation, especially with uncontrollable costs because of healthcare and because of fuel. It's hard to present a complete financial picture of TARDA in this type of setting because it's a very abbreviated amount of time and there's a lot to dig into. But if you wanted to postpone your vote and your action for a couple weeks to convene a committee to independently look at our finances to make sure that as stewards of taxpayer dollars, you're making an appropriate decision to let the voters decide, we would be happy to do that. Because ultimately, it's a very important decision for our region. We want to try to get it in front of 500,000 voters, obviously, and we are very transparent about what we have at TARDA in terms of what we do today and what we've done in the past in terms of making ends meet.
Well, should we hear it for some other folks, John?
Yes.
Is that okay, Jim?
Yes. Absolutely.
Okay. Thanks, and Bonnie, thank you. Robin Miller, are you here? Okay, thanks, Robin. Thanks for coming tonight. Okay, that's the only ones that we had that were signed up, so.
I think all those things that you listed, Mr. Gee, as the issues that TARDA has, Sylvania Township and every other municipality has dealt with that. And for us to expect an increase of about 50% of our tax revenue is absurd. And so we all have to work within our boundaries and certainly giving you more to provide this service because there isn't anybody in this room, I don't think, that doesn't believe that a good community has a great public transportation system and gets our disabled and, brings our community together. But I have a hard time with the dollar amount increase that you're going for. And then, again, I know it's probably not the nicest term, but this slush fund that you're going to redistribute back to communities, I'm completely opposed to that. I think you guys have been poor stewards with your money, and to think that you're going to have additional money to hand out to communities, and again, having voted it down twice, I certainly don't think Sylvania Township's going to be on the top of those lists. But again, I just think that in order for me to vote yes on this, I would have to seen a much more solid business plan that shows the trends in the transportation industry in terms of single rider. That's the reason Uber has exploded in 2 years, right underneath, public transportation's nose. And still nobody's kind of getting it and working it in together in terms of, how does that piece even fit in with TARDA? Is there a way that we can resource and things? And I think this is a bad plan, and it's more of a spending wish list, as Doug Hanum put it in his emails, than really a business plan.
In terms of the Uber specifically piece, we do have a strategic plan that includes either providing an Uber type of service directly or partnering with some local firms to provide that service. You're absolutely right in that flexible transit is what people want. It's one of the many things that people want. But Uber may not be a direct answer. You've heard from one of the testimony folks earlier this evening about the cost of Uber. Secondly, and much more important, there is a safety concern with Uber. Frankly, the folks that we fire go to work for Uber. And that's a concern for us when we put our passengers in their care. In terms of the amount of money this would generate, again, we're locked in increments of 0.1 by state law. If you would like to convene a committee that's independent to look at this objectively and decide if 0.3 or 0.4 makes the most sense, we're certainly transparent and willing to have that process, because I know this is a very important decision for our region, and we want to make it right.
Would that transition plan be something done before August 8th on the ballot, or is that, I can't imagine we'd be able to...
Well, a lot of that transition plan is already in the strategic plan itself, but I believe if we work hard and we, agree on a committee, maybe it's Sylvania Rotarians, maybe, I'm thinking out loud, maybe it's Sylvania Chamber of Commerce representatives. If we can convene an independent committee that can quickly look at it, I would hope that they could work quickly enough to get back to this group.
Jim, do you think you could convince Toledo Chamber to take a look at it?
We are scheduled for their levy review committee already on Wednesday, August 8th, which is the deadline for being on the Board of Elections. I don't know if I can't speak for them, but I'd be happy to reach out to them and ask them.
Well, they certainly stepped forward on the regional water. I don't think it's gone as good as everyone hoped, but this is another, in my mind, regional problem. I differ a little bit that we all know something different's got to be done with TARDA. To try to do it at today's income, you're back in 1987, now real estate taxes look like they're going up in our area especially, but they've dropped quite a bit. So I can see how you're struggling to modernize the system, and it's going to take more dollars. I don't know how it cannot. So the question seems to be is somebody ought to take a look at this. Now, last time we said we needed a strategic plan. Now we're talking about a business plan. I don't know if you're ever going to be able to, you're struggling with trying to keep a transit system going. We all seem to agree it's very important to the region. And it's certainly important getting to and from jobs. So if you could get somebody to take a look at this with credibility, and I think the Toledo Chamber would have that, but we'll have to know pretty damn quick. I don't know if they would take it on.
which of the top employers in our community have you met with in the last year to discuss this strategic plan with?
We've met with the Toledo Chamber, with the Springfield Chamber of Commerce.
Employers, I mean Chrysler, ProMedica.
Let me keep going. I've had meetings with ProMedica, meetings with Hunger Industries, who's a packaging firm in Rossford. We do non-employee meetings. We do passenger meetings where employers have attended and spoke on behalf of their business that needs public transit. I could put together a more complete list of it, but we do reach out to employees because 60% of our trips are work trips.
Well, that's what I took notes last time, and that sparked and I thought, well, I wonder if they're talking to these employers, saying, hey, where are your employees coming from, and how can we get them here with the greatest of ease? And I continue to think that, you've put together this thing in a bubble, and you really haven't reached out to the members of the community and the chambers and things to really get a plan that's going to work. And my fear is that we give you this additional revenue and you go and purchase outdated buses, and we're starting in 5 years in a deeper hole than we're already in now because we've got brand-new buses that were outdated the minute we ordered them.
Yeah, and this plan was not put together in a bubble. When there's a major improvement in our region, such as the Overland District or Overland Parkway District, we met with them at the front of the process, designed a route that met the needs of their passengers, and made sure that route was available when Dana and the firm next door opened up. So we're not working in a bubble. In terms of buying buses, we need small buses, there's no question about that. But right now, with our financial situation, we're leaving federal grants on the table because we don't have local dollars to match. I want to buy 30 small buses. I want to buy many accessible minivans, which are smaller yet. But I have the federal funds. I can't provide the local funds for match without cutting service. Likewise, I can't apply for discretionary grants and bring more federal dollars to the region because FTA says we won't let you cut your service to provide match for federal discretionary grants. We're hamstrung right now, which is why we have hand-me-down buses from other transit systems to simply make ends meet.
So what was TARDA's budget last year?
About 28 million.
28 million, and 12 and a half of that was property tax?
About 12 and a half, yep.
And what would you expect it to go to in 19 if you got these additional, if we switch to the sales tax?
So after the switch to sales tax, the sales tax will generate about an extra $7 million for TARDA. So from 28 to about, it winds up being about 34 because we're using some federal funds that are mixed in there.
Anyone else have questions or?
Do you think you could be back to us? Or we'd have to have a special meeting, wouldn't we? What's the date for the ballot?
The deadline for the ballot is August 8th. We do have a requirement to have our board meeting sometime before that August 8th deadline after all the resolutions are finished.
City's going on the 31st. I don't know if,
Thank you.
That's my job.
Yeah.
so our
So we'll meet on the 7th, right?
Yeah.
That'd be a normal meeting. You think you could be back to us by then?
I could
But
certainly.
I think you'd need a credible group to take a look at your financial picture. And I'm not sure they could do a business plan in that short of a time. Maybe they could.
I think in terms of opening our finances and digging into how we're funded and our revenue streams and our expenses, that's something that we could do fairly quickly.
Can I ask a question?
I don't know how these meetings work, so I'm pretending I'm in a classroom right now. Just for clarification for myself and for the room, we are asking for this to be put on a ballot. We are not asking for, or I should say, TARDA is not asking for the council to approve the .4, but just to approve putting it on a ballot. Correct? Okay.
That's correct. We're not asking for an endorsement.
But this board represents Sylvania Township. And if we turn it over to the voters of Lucas County, 100% of our residents could vote no, and the 80% that makes up the city of Toledo. So we're losing control as Sylvania Township if we turn it over to the county. And I was elected by the residents of Sylvania Township, so I represent them.
But I think, as Bonnie points out, your residents have said...
You know what, I have talked to two people who took the survey, and they were very concerned with how the wording was. And so that is, again, I know surveys are surveys. And I could ask you, would you like a bowl of ice cream, and then not tell you it came with strychnine in it. I mean, it just, it doesn't...
We don't use the survey, we gave them the information, and I'm sure the two people you heard from were naysayers, because you only hear one side and the other.
Of course.
But secondly, the township and the city have both historically supported TARDA. I mean, back in 2012, I believe, we had the opt-out issue in this township. The vote was overwhelming, 65% said we do not want to lose TARDA services.
We understand that.
Yep.
People said that.
Okay, hold on, sorry, you can't just yell out. I love one exception. I gave the teacher one an exception. No, you're good. No, we've heard from the public, it's kind of for us to think of this through. I'm not sure a financial report's gonna look, what am I gonna,
I feel like we're only talking about let the voters decide.
That's right.
This decision, obviously, I'm in favor of letting the voters, we're part of a regional system, and I think we should let the voters tell us what they think's the fairest way to fund TARDA. If you want to delay it, if you need more information, I'm okay with that. And we have another meeting on the 7th, or we could have a special meeting.
If we go that route, I think we have to have a special meeting, because I think his board has to meet after all the municipalities or townships vote. And that means their meeting would have to be at least the 7th or earlier. We'd have to give the resolution to them, so I'm saying you would probably have to have a
special meeting would have to be probably the 6th or the 3rd or somewhere in this range, so we can get it to their board, who then could meet.
That's a good point, Jay.
And get it to the board elections.
if we go that route.
I'm not against the sales tax. I'm really not. I just want it to be apples and apples for our taxpayers.
I got involved in politics because our property taxes are too high in this community, and I just, I listen to a lot of residents, and they're concerned about the increase in spending.
The other thought here, again, is, if this does pass, with any of the questions, and Bonnie, any of the questions were, if this was approved, we'd be the second highest sales tax county in the state of Ohio? That would be a fact. Was that when you guys didn't think about any of your questions on that, did you?
Not in this particular state.
Okay. Anything else for the board?
Well, it sounds to me like,
I'm not sure what I know now today, in my mind, what I know in August is gonna change a whole lot.
And then a vote on the resolution.
Well, it sounds like it's gonna go down, so I guess I would make a resolution to set up a special meeting, work with TARDA, and see if they can come back with someone credible to take a look at it.
Otherwise, I think we already have this resolution, so either you're gonna have to table this one and then do yours. John, am I correct? Yeah, we've already had this resolution introduced, so you can table
It's not
it.
been introduced, it's on the agenda.
Neil read it into the record.
Yeah.
Oh, did you make the motion?
He didn't wait for
I
a
just read the
motion.
resolution.
He's waiting for a motion.
Well, so you don't have a motion.
We don't have a second.
Is that correct,
No,
John?
a second.
You don't even have a motion.
Right.
Mr. Commissaric wants to make a comment on it.
Again, we've heard from everybody, I'll grant you a little leeway here, because you...
Greg Commissary, 2520 Heisler Road. I have no problems with the funding for TARDA. That my concern, along with everybody else, is we're increasing the budget. That we're increasing a budget, and my concern is that we're not increasing the cost to who is actually using this service. I would be a whole lot more comfortable with this going on the ballot if there was also a comparable increase in a ticket price to the tax price. That's all that I want to say on
All
that.
right, thanks, Greg.
What piece of revenue does the riders pay? What percentage?
About 22%.
Okay, thank you.
What do you want to do, John?
I'm ready either way. Obviously, I'm not happy with what we have in front of us, but I'm prepared to vote on it, and I'm with you. I don't know what additional information could be provided in a week and a half to swing me the other way, but, you know, the more information we have to make our decisions, the better.
So you want to wait till, you want to put something on?
I'm saying I'm ready to do it either way, but
I'll move to table resolution 18096.
For what date?
I'll leave that to our administrator to work out.
we at least have to make it after the 31st, so Sylvania City will vote on it.
I hadn't thought of that.
Do we have a second to the motion? Otherwise, it will die for lack of a second.
I don't think we do at this point.
Yeah. It's a tough one, guys. It's a tough one. I just don't, it's a new tax. I just have a hard time with it. I mean, your plan's great, your plan's beautiful. We're done, we're talking amongst up here, but thanks.
Does the resolution die for lack of second? I hear no second.
Thinking about it.
Oh, you still
I'm
want?
still thinking.
Okay.
Yeah. Thinking this through. I've thought about this a lot, guys, a ton, months of this. I just have a hard time. You guys did what we said, you come back with a plan. I think there needs to be some more execution of the plan. And it's a new tax. You came back 0.5, you came back 0.4, the state allowed you to do it, and that's great. There's gotta be a way there's gotta be a way for you guys to, I feel is it a burden for us, because I've got letters in my file that Monclova doesn't want it, Springfield Township doesn't want it, Oregon doesn't want it. We're gonna collect more from our taxpayers to help collect, if it passes, to collect more for a service that clearly The sales tax is the method, Bonnie. I clearly agree, I have no problem with that. It's the number. It's the number I can't stomach with. And I can't stomach with a number that's greater than double the number it is. I can't do it. In fact,
If the .4 versus .3 is the issue, then let us have the week and a half or 2 weeks to try to convince either you or an independent group of the right, that this is the right number under the state law. If we can't convince you, you can cancel your special meeting because the point will be moot, because the resolution obviously looks to be dead. If we can convince you, then you can have a special meeting and allow the voters ultimately to choose.
So if our minds are not changed, there's no reason for us to have a meeting here then.
We need an affirmative resolution to be able to place on the ballot. If you don't pass that affirmative resolution, then it can't go forward to the ballot.
That's a correct statement, Dr.
Right.
Attorney.
Right.
If you do not act on it, it dies for lack of all the members voting for it.
So you're going to show us sorry, Jim, you're going to show us the .4 or option for .3?
I would like to sit down with a group and do a deep dive, if I can articulate that, of our revenues, of our expenses, of the impact of .4, of the impact of .3, and lay out a case that this group can say, yes, .3 makes sense, it's a better fit, or yes, .4 makes sense and it's a better fit. The state law is pretty clear, it has to be one or the other. And if we need someone neutral to come in and take a look at it, I'll do my best to put that data together so they can look at it.
Can you change that before it needs to be filed, to change it from a .4 to a .3? I mean, again, like Mr. Comic-Sarek said, if we took a .3 and increased the revenue from the passengers, we might get to an area where you can live with, but I just, again, doubling your tax income is not a way I see forward.
If the revenues change from .4 to .3, everybody would have to re-vote
Okay,
because they've all voted on the .4.
yeah.
And that'd be hard to do after.
It'd be hard to do.
All right, gentlemen, what do you want to do? Crandall's at, what do you want to do on this?
Let's take a vote.
So we need a second.
Second.
Oh, I'm sorry, we need a motion versus a motion.
I'll offer resolution 18-096.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, call the roll, Mr. Mahoney,
No.
Mr. Crandall,
Yes.
Mr. Generali.
No.
All right. Thank you for everybody coming tonight on that. John, we've got some other business here.
Next item on the agenda is resolution 18097, authorization to hire a part-time accounting and budget supervisor. As you know, Mr. Smith is putting his notice that will no longer be working for the township. We will sorely miss him. We had an interview process, and we would recommend hiring Imran Mirza to be the part-time accounting supervisor.
I'll offer resolution 18-097, authorized to hire part-time accounting and budget supervisor.
Second?
Okay, call the roll, Mr. Mahoney,
Yes.
Mr. Crandall,
Yes.
and Mr. Generali.
Yes.
Okay, and then at the beginning of the meeting, I had an add-on that I mentioned. This is Resolution 18098,
authorization to hire our zoning manager. Our previous zoning manager, Darrell Grouse, has submitted a resignation, and we did an interview, and we're recommending Carleen Henderson to be hired as our zoning manager.
I'll offer resolution 18098 to hire Carleen
Second.
Henderson, sorry, Carleen.
Okay, call a roll, Mr. Mahoney,
Yes.
Mr. Crandall.
Yes.
Mr. Genowine.
Yes.
Okay, that's all I had, and then,
Real quick, Scott, how long we got you for?
He's done at the end of June. We're on borrowed time.
I'll stay until we...
Okay, thanks for sticking around, too.
I'll stay in.
Okay, appreciate it very much. Okay, fiscal officer, Scott?
We've got 4 resolutions. First one is increasing appropriations. We're just increasing the advance out so we can advance money from the fire fund to the fire grant fund, appropriating purchases out of the fire grant fund, and then also transferring some donated money from the fire fund to the building improvement fund because we're going to do a repair that largely considered a capital item.
I'll offer resolution 18-093, township appropriation from unencumbered balances.
second.
Okay, call the roll, Mr. Mahoney,
Yes.
Mr. Crandall,
Yes.
and Mr. Genowine.
Yes.
All right, 18094 is transfer of funds. Going back to the last resolution, this just actually transfers the money from the fire fund to the fire capital fund.
I'll offer resolution 18-094, transfer of funds.
Second?
Okay, Mr. Mahoney,
Yes.
Mr. Crandall,
Yes.
and Mr. Genowine.
Yes.
18095, in anticipation of the 2018-19 EMS grant, we want to advance funds to the fire grant fund until we receive the grant proceeds.
I'll move resolution 18095, advance of funds.
Second.
Okay, call the roll, Mr. Mahoney,
Yes.
Mr. Crandall,
Yes.
and Mr. Genowine.
Yes.
And then 18096 returns the advance from last year for the 2017-2018 EMS grant.
I'll offer resolution 18096, return of funds.
Second.
Okay, call the roll, Mr. Mahoney,
Yes.
Mr. Crandall,
Yes.
and Mr. Genowine.
Yes.
All right, any open discussion? I don't know if you guys saw my email about that water thing, just maybe get
Yeah,
Tim Shaw in here. You're
I
gonna
called
you're
Tim
gonna put that
Shaw.
together?
Yeah.
Okay, great. And then, with that being said, I'll make a motion to adjourn at 6:54.
Second.
Okay, call the roll, Mr. Mahoney,
Yes.
Mr. Crandall,
Yes.
Mr. Genowine.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.